For decades, canned tuna has been considered one of the safest foods on the table. Easy on the stomach, high in protein, convenient, easy to store, easy to prepare. For many people over the age of 55, tuna has almost become the default choice whenever a quick meal is needed, one that still feels healthy. A can of tuna, a bit of bread, some salad, and you feel reassured that you have done something right for your heart and overall health. And that belief is not entirely wrong. But what if I told you that after the age of 60, tuna no longer works in your body the way it used to? Not because tuna has changed, but because your body has. The way you absorb, metabolize, and eliminate nutrients is no longer the same as it was in your 40s or 50s. And when tuna is eaten the wrong way, at the wrong time, or with the wrong frequency, it can quietly contribute to problems that many people assume are simply inevitable consequences of aging. Persistent fatigue, more difficulty sleeping, stiffer joints in the morning, reduced mental focus, small, slow changes that are very easy to overlook. Take a moment to ask yourself a few very familiar questions. Do you often choose canned tuna because you believe it is easier on the stomach than red meat? Do you tend to eat tuna late in the evening, thinking that protein is always good no matter the time? When you open a can of tuna, do you automatically pour out the liquid or oil without thinking much about it? Have there been times when you ate tuna almost every day, simply because it is convenient and you believe that eating fish is never wrong? And have you ever assumed that as long as it is canned tuna, all types are basically the same, the only difference being the price? If you just nodded slightly or smiled because you thought, "That's exactly me," then you are not alone. In more than 20 years of working with people over 55, I have met many patients with these exact habits. They are not careless with their diet. On the contrary, they are very intentional about taking care of their health. But because these seemingly healthy choices are repeated year after year, when the body begins to react, they rarely suspect that tuna might be part of the picture. And that is exactly why this video exists. In today's video, I will share with you 7 common mistakes that many people over 60 are making when eating canned tuna. Not to scare you, not to tell you to eliminate tuna from your diet, but to help you understand what is really happening inside your body and how to adjust in a way that is safe, reasonable, and practical. I will explain why each mistake sounds very right on the surface, yet is no longer suitable once the body has aged. I will also show you how to correct each one in a concrete, easy-to-follow way, without extreme dieting, without expensive foods, and without disrupting your daily life. We will move from the least serious mistake to the one that is most often overlooked. And I want you to stay until the end because the final mistake is the one almost everyone believes is harmless. Yet it is precisely this mistake that explains why so many people eat tuna for years and still feel their energy declining, their memory gradually worsening, and their joints becoming stiffer over time. Once you understand this point, you will understand why this video matters. We begin with mistake number 7, the lightest mistake, but also one of the most common. Mistake number 7, thinking that all canned tuna is the same. Many people stand in front of the supermarket shelf, see tuna, and only pay attention to the price, or at most, whether it is packed in water or packed in oil. That sounds reasonable because fish is fish, but what many people do not realize is that canned tuna can differ greatly in species, fish size, fishing method, and processing before canning. The larger the tuna and the higher it sits in the marine food chain, the more heavy metals it accumulates over time. Imagine the fish's body like a sponge. When it sits in oil or water for a long time, it continuously exchanges substances. That liquid carries not only flavor, but also omega-3 fats and fat-soluble vitamins. For people over 60, these nutrients support memory, joints, and cardiovascular health. When you discard everything, you unintentionally make the meal less nourishing. The fix is to choose tuna packed in quality olive oil and use it in moderation, or, if it is packed in water, keep some of the liquid to mix with salads or dressings instead of pouring it all away. Mistake number 5. Eating tuna too frequently because you think eating fish is always fine. This is a very common belief. Fish is seen as safer than red meat, lighter and easier to digest. But the issue isn't eating fish, it's eating the same type of fish repeatedly. The body needs rotation. When you eat tuna continuously week after week, you do not give your body a break from the substances that are characteristic of that specific fish. For people over 60, this may show up as vague fatigue, a heavy feeling in the head, or difficulty sleeping. The fix is very practical. Keep tuna to 1 or 2 meals per week and rotate with smaller fish like sardines, herring, or anchovies. This variety helps the body maintain better balance. Mistake number 4. Eating tuna late in the evening. Many people choose tuna for dinner because they believe protein is always good and fish is lighter than meat. That sounds logical, but what is often overlooked is that tuna has a mild stimulating effect on the nervous system due to its high protein and certain natural compounds. For younger people, this is usually insignificant, but for those over 60, the nervous system is more sensitive and sleep is more easily disrupted. Eating tuna late can lead to restlessness, shallow sleep, and waking up tired without knowing why. The fix is to shift tuna to lunch or early afternoon when the body has enough time to digest and metabolize it. Mistake number 3. Pairing tuna with too many salty foods. Canned tuna already contains a certain amount of sodium for preservation. When you eat it with pickles, salty cheese, salted bread, or bottled sauces, total sodium intake rises very quickly. Salt is like water behind a dam. When you are young, the dam is strong and can handle the pressure. With age, the dam wall becomes thinner. Too much salt makes the heart work harder, causes joints to retain fluid, and leads to blood pressure fluctuations. The fix is balance. Pair tuna with fresh vegetables, fiber, lemon, olive oil, and herbs rather than adding extra salt or salty sauces. Mistake number 2. Thinking the leaner the tuna, the better. Many people choose tuna packed in water because they fear fat. That sounds reasonable, especially with concerns about heart health, but not all fats are the same. The fats in fish, especially omega-3s, act like lubricant for joints and wiring for the brain. When you remove fat entirely, you reduce the body's ability to absorb nutrients properly. For people over 60, this directly affects memory and joint flexibility. The fix is not to eat more oil, but to choose the right type of fat and the right amount, especially olive oil. And now we come to mistake number 1, the most overlooked mistake of all. Mistake number 1, not paying attention to the total accumulation of tuna over time. Not one meal, not 1 week, but many years. I have met people who ate tuna in what they believed was a very healthy way, yet later complained of a heavy head, difficulty concentrating, and persistent fatigue. When their eating habits were reviewed, tuna appeared regularly in their diet for years on end. The body is like a closed room. If you bring in a little dust every day, nothing happens at first, but over many years, if cleaning is not efficient enough, dust accumulates. In older adults, this cleaning mechanism works much slower. That's why this video matters. Not to make you afraid of tuna, but to help you use it more intelligently. The solution is awareness of frequency, diversification of protein sources, and giving the body the rest periods it needs. And when you do that, Tuna returns to its proper place, a convenient, nutritious food that supports health after 60 rather than a quiet, accumulating burden. Now, I want to pause for a moment on mistake number 1, because this is not just an eating habit, it is a way of thinking that has taken root over many years. Many people believe that as long as they do not eat too much in a single meal, the body will take care of everything on its own. One can of tuna today is fine. Another can next week is not a problem. But the body does not view food meal by meal the way we do. The body remembers over time. I once had a male patient in his early 60s who lived a very disciplined life. He did not smoke, did not drink much alcohol, and walked every day. For nearly 10 years, his lunch was often whole-grain bread with canned tuna. He believed he was doing something good for his heart. But gradually, he began to feel mentally slower, more forgetful about small things, and deeply fatigued in the afternoons without understanding why. All major tests came back normal. Only when we looked at his entire dietary pattern accumulated over many years did the full picture become clear. Imagine your body as a glass. Each day you pour a little water into it. If the water is perfectly clean, the glass stays fine. But if the water contains tiny particles of sediment that are invisible to the naked eye, then over many years that sediment settles at the bottom. In younger people, the glass is rinsed quickly and often. In people over 60, this rinsing process is slower. That is not your fault. It is the natural physiology of aging. Observational studies suggest that long-term consumption of large fish, accumulated over time, may affect the nervous system and energy levels in older adults, even when there are no obvious symptoms at first. What matters is that these effects do not arrive loudly. They come slowly, quietly, and are easily mistaken for just aging. And this is exactly why this video matters. Not to make you eliminate tuna, but to help you understand that for a body over 60, how often and how much matter as much as what you eat. When you adjust this, many people notice that they feel clearer-headed, sleep more deeply, and have more energy within just a few weeks. Not because of a miracle, but because the body is finally allowed to work at the rhythm it was designed for. At this point, I want to clarify something very important. What we have discussed does not mean that canned tuna is a forbidden food for everyone over 60. Most people can still eat tuna and benefit from it, as long as it is used correctly. However, there are certain groups who need to be a bit more cautious, and this is entirely about protecting yourself. If you are living with cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure, or a history of heart rhythm disorders, you need to pay attention to the sodium content in canned tuna. Even products labeled low sodium can contribute to sodium buildup if eaten frequently. In these cases, eating in moderation and prioritizing combinations with fresh vegetables, fiber, and adequate hydration can help reduce the burden on the heart. If you are taking thyroid medication, blood thinners, or medications that affect the nervous system, frequent tuna consumption should also be considered carefully. Not because tuna directly interacts with these drugs, but because any food that can accumulate over time should be managed thoughtfully when the body is processing medication every day. In these situations, a brief conversation with your doctor or a nutrition professional is highly advisable. People with kidney issues or those who have been advised to limit protein intake also need to be mindful of portion size. Tuna is a good source of protein, but with kidneys that have become less resilient with age, too much protein over long periods can lead to greater fatigue. Here, the most important word is moderation. And finally, if you notice that after eating tuna, you often feel heavy-headed, have trouble sleeping, or experience unexplained fatigue, do not immediately assume it is just aging. Try reducing the frequency for a few weeks and observe your body. The body is always sending signals. The question is whether we listen. The key thing I want you to remember is this: there is no need to self-diagnose and no need to worry excessively. Simply understand what stage your body is in and make gentle, conscious adjustments. Tuna still has a place in a post-60 diet as long as you put it in the right place. Now, let's step back and look at the bigger picture in a calm, holistic way. Canned tuna, when used correctly, is still a very valuable food for people over 60. It provides protein that helps maintain muscle mass, supports strength, and preserves mobility. It contains beneficial fats that help nourish the brain and joints, and its convenience allows many people to maintain regular meals instead of skipping meals or eating carelessly. The difference is not whether you eat tuna or not. The difference is how you eat it. When you choose the right type, pay attention to frequency, consider the time of day, and combine it with foods that help balance the body, tuna stops being a quiet source of strain. It becomes a supportive part of your diet. Many people believe that improving health after 60 requires big changes. In reality, at this stage, the body responds very well to small adjustments. Switching from eating tuna every day to once or twice a week, moving tuna from late dinners to lunchtime, reading labels more carefully before buying. Small changes like these, when maintained consistently, can lead to very noticeable improvements in energy, sleep, concentration, and an overall sense of lightness in the body. After more than 20 years of working with older adults, I see the same pattern again and again. When you give the body the conditions it needs, it often responds better than we expect, not with dramatic shifts, but with greater stability, comfort, and confidence in daily life. And that is the foundation of healthy aging. Before we close, I'd like to take a moment to hear from you. Among the 7 mistakes we just discussed, was there anything that made you think, I've done that before? Many viewers your age have told me that simply recognizing one small mistake has already changed how they view everyday foods. If you feel comfortable, share in the comments how you usually eat canned tuna. What meal do you eat it at most often? Do you usually buy tuna packed in water or oil? And after watching this video, is there a small adjustment you think you might try in the near future? Your experiences don't just help me understand you better, they may also help someone else your age realize they are not alone in their health journey. If you found this content helpful, please click like to support the channel. That genuinely helps educational videos like this reach more people over 60. And if you'd like to continue receiving calm, easy-to-understand explanations, grounded in science but closely connected to everyday life, consider subscribing and turning on notifications. You can also share this video with a friend, a family member, or anyone who eats tuna regularly and cares about their long-term health. Before we part, I want you to remember one very important thing. After 60, health is not a matter of luck, nor is it a race toward perfection. It is the result of small choices, repeated daily, made with understanding and intention. If you have been eating tuna for many years, that does not mean you did anything wrong. It simply means that today you know a little more than you did yesterday, and that new knowledge gives you the power to adjust. You can choose to eat a bit less, eat it at a better time, select more suitable options, and combine foods more wisely. It is never too late for your body to be treated better. Your body is still listening, it is still responding. When you reduce unnecessary burdens, it often gives back a sense of lightness, stability, and clarity, both physically and mentally. You do not need to change everything at once. One small decision today can create a meaningful difference over time. Stay curious about what you eat. Ask questions calmly, without judging yourself. And remember, Healthy aging is not about trying to become younger again, but about learning to live more harmoniously with your body at this stage of life. Thank you for staying with me until the very end. We will meet again in future videos where we continue to unpack familiar habits and turn them into better choices for your long-term health.